Cold open. Dale Prescott was 34 years old and had never once, in his entire life, finished a task on time. He was currently late for his shift at Big Earl's Hardware in Modesto, California, nursing a coffee that had gone cold 20 minutes ago, when a shimmer opened in the parking lot that smelled faintly of ozone and wet pennies. A creature stepped out, tall, gray-skinned, eyes like wet marbles, and unrolled a scroll of light in front of him. Human. We require labor for a survey mission. Compensation is substantial. Survival rate is variable. Dale sipped his coffee. Does it come with dental? Unclear. Beats retail. He shrugged, tossed his apron on the ground, and climbed into the light. Warning scene. The recruiter, a nervous, twitchy thing named Vex 7, walked alongside. Dale down a humming steel corridor, reading off a tablet with visible discomfort. You should understand the planet's designation. Crivex 9 is classified Tier Omega. No survey team has returned intact in 11 cycles. Radiation storms, predator fauna the size of transport vessels. Atmospheric toxins that dissolve organic tissue in... Cool. Dale cracked his knuckles. Any vending machines? Stopped walking. Did you hear anything I said? Radiation monsters, air's bad. Got it, Dale yawned. I grew up next to a Superfund site. I'll manage. Vex 7's antennae drooped, the alien equivalent of a long, tired sigh. Very well. Don't blame me if you come back in a box. Dale grinned. Wouldn't be the first time I disappointed somebody. Squad introduction. The briefing room held 4 chairs, and Dale was the last to sit down. First was a counselor, Threx, a Voskane elder with skin like cracked obsidian and 4-segmented arms. Threx had survived the second Nebula purge, personally negotiated the ceasefire at Karn Station, and had a kill count on record that the translator device politely refused to display in civilian mode. Threx did not blink. Threx, Dale would later learn, physically could not blink. The Voskane had no eyelids, having evolved on a world with no sun. Second was Ground Lieutenant Sara, a lean, iridescent being covered in fine chitinous scales that shifted color with her mood. Currently a sharp clinical blue. Sara was the youngest weapons master ever certified by the Outer Compact, having redesigned 3 warship hull plating systems before her 100th cycle. She had, according to her file, once survived vacuum exposure for 11 seconds. Through sheer force of will and dense subdermal fat reserves, she looked at Dale the way a surgeon looks at a dull scalpel. Third was Dr. Polken, round, soft-bodied, mostly translucent, with 6 eyes arranged in a ring around his head so he never had a blind spot. Polken held 4 medical doctorates across 4 different species, biologies, and had cured a plague on his home moon by isolating a pathogen no one else could even see without specialized equipment. He communicated mostly in worried mumbling. And then there was Dale, 5'10", slightly overweight, 1 working elbow since the other had never quite been right. Since a bar fight in 2019, no degrees, no kill count, no hull plating patents. His file, when Threx pulled it up, was almost entirely blank except for a single line. Occupation, retail associate, hardware. Sara's scales flickered a disbelieving orange. This is the 4th crew member. That is correct, said Threx. He has no augmentations, no training, no documented survival skills of any kind. Dale raised a hand. I once assembled a swing set in 90-degree heat without the instructions. Nobody responded to that. Polken's 6 eyes all blinked at slightly different times, which was somehow more unsettling than if they'd blinked together. The mission, Threx said finally, requires a 4th. The Compact insists all survey teams include a member of an unassessed species. For data purposes, you are unassessed. Lucky me, said Dale and put his boots up on the console, which made all 3 aliens flinch in a way he did not understand yet, but would come to find extremely funny in about 2 weeks. Comedy escalation loop. The atmosphere, Polken said, checking his readouts, cycles between extreme heat and sudden cold every 6 hours. A temperature swing of nearly 40 degrees without warning. Dale shrugged. Sounds like Ohio in April. Sarah's scales flickered confusion yellow. Explain Ohio. Can't, nobody can. It just happens to you. The soil, Threx continued, contains microbial spores that will attempt to colonize any exposed wound within minutes. Left untreated, infection spreads through the bloodstream in under an hour. So poison ivy, but for your blood. That is not equivalent in scale, Polken said carefully. Sure it is. My cousin touched poison ivy once and his whole arm swelled up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Took 2 weeks and a shot in the butt to fix it. Sarah looked at Polken. Polken looked at his tablet like it had personally betrayed him. There are windstorms, Sarah said, capable of stripping reinforced hull plating down to bare metal in under a minute. We call them the flying gales. Dale nodded slowly. We had a guy's whole shed end up in a lake once. Tornado just picked it up. Whole shed. Riding lawnmower still inside it. Did he survive? The shed, no Gary? Yeah, he was at Denny's. Threx's forearms all crossed at once. A gesture Dale would later learn meant deep existential confusion. The apex predator of the region, Polken said, voice trembling slightly, is called a vrek. 8 legs, 3 rows of teeth, capable of tracking prey through solid rock via vibration. It has been recorded consuming an armored transport hull. Dale thought about it. So like a really committed raccoon. A what? Never mind. Point is, you don't leave food out. Same rule applies. Sarah stared at him for 4 full seconds. You are comparing an apex predator capable of consuming armored vehicles to a small Earth scavenger. I'm saying the strategy is the same. Don't leave your trash cans open. The gravitational anomalies near the northern crater, Threx said, cause sudden localized spikes up to 4 times standard gravity. Entire scouting teams have been crushed instantly. Dale winced sympathetically. Yeah, that's rough. Kind of like carrying my mother-in-law's furniture up 3 flights of stairs. No elevator. 4th of July. 98 degrees. Polken made a small sound that the translator rendered as a whimper. There is a recurring seismic event, Sarah said. Quieter now, almost testing him. That liquefies ground matter across a 12-kilometer radius without warning. No survivor has ever documented it directly. Dale considered this for a long moment. A quicksand? Threx's antennae twitched. You have encountered this phenomenon before? There's a marsh behind my uncle's place. Lost a boot in it once. Never found the boot. The 3 aliens exchanged a long, silent look, the kind of look people share, right before they stop underestimating someone. Arrival and world reveal. Hit them like a slap the moment the ramp lowered. The sky was a bruised orange-purple, choked with drifting ash that never seemed to settle. The ground was a cracked black glass, still radiating heat from some geological process no one fully understood. In the distance, jagged spires of red mineral clawed upward like broken teeth, and the wind carried a low, constant moan that Polken's instruments identified as structurally impossible and refused to explain further. Sarah's suit display flared red within 90 seconds. Cooling systems. Already straining. Threx's forearms moved with visible effort, servos whining under a gravity field that pressed down like a hand. Polken's translucent body had gone a pale, sickly white, 6 eyes darting nervously toward every shadow. Dale stepped off the ramp in a standard-issue environment suit 2 sizes too big. Looked around and said, reminds me of Bakersfield. You are not struggling? Threx asked, arms trembling slightly from the gravitational load. Little warm, little humid. Dale rolled his shoulders. I mow my lawn in this kind of heat. Sarah's suit chimed a warning. She ignored it, staring at him instead. Your vitals, she said slowly, reading off a scanner aimed his way, are unremarkable, stable. You are not compensating for the gravity at all. Should I be? Everyone is, Polken said faintly. Dale considered this, then shrugged and adjusted the strap on his gear bag. Guess I've just got sturdy knees. None of them laughed. That was the moment, though none of them said it aloud yet, that the mission stopped being a formality and became something else entirely. The flaying gale! The storm came at dusk exactly as predicted. A wall of screaming wind that could strip metal bare. The squad scrambled into a reinforced shelter, sealing 3 layers of blast doors, Sarah running frantic calculations on structural integrity. Dale was outside for another 4 minutes securing a loose supply crate, walking at a slight lean, one hand holding his hat down. Human, return immediately. Sarah's voice crackled over comms, pure panic. Almost got it, Dale said. This crate's just heavy, that's all. Like moving a couch in a bad wind. You lean into it. He walked back in, hat slightly askew, entirely unharmed, and set the crate down. Storm's not bad. Bit like a nor'easter. Threx stared at the sealed door, then at Dale, then said nothing at all. The spore field. They needed to cross a valley thick with the infection spores. Full squad protocol, sealed suits, chemical showers. A 40-minute decontamination ritual on the far side. Dale walked through in his work gloves and a bandana over his mouth, humming. "You are not decontaminating," Polkin said, horrified, 6 eyes wide. "Didn't touch the ground with skin. Same rule as poison oak. You just gotta know where not to step." He held up a boot. "Also, I stepped in something. Smells like a compost bin. Kinda nice, actually." Polkin fainted. Not literally, but his color drained to near transparency, and he had to sit down. The wreck. It came at night. 8 legs thundering across the black glass, teeth like a nightmare made solid. The squad deployed heavy plasma cannons, Sarah barking coordinates, Threx bracing a shield generator that strained and sparked under the impact. Dale grabbed a metal pipe, banged it twice against a supply crate, loud, sharp, rhythmic, and the wreck froze mid-charge, confused before slowly backing away into the dark. Silence. "What?" Sarah said. "Did you just do?" Scared off a bear once doing that. Big animals hate sudden loud noises they can't explain. Works on raccoons too. Worked here. The gravity spike. The ground groaned. Threx's readout spiked. Gravitational anomaly. Brace, brace. The squad hit the deck, servos screaming, suits straining under quadrupled weight. Dale, mid-stretch, simply dropped into a crouch like a man settling onto a low stool, waited it out, and stood back up. That's like when my nephew jumps on my back. Little guy's heavier than he looks. Log entry, Lieutenant Sarah, personal recording. I have begun to question my understanding of physics. The human does not train for danger. He does not prepare for danger. He simply recognizes it, filed under some prior memory of an inconvenience, and proceeds. I do not know if this is the most sophisticated survival adaptation I have ever witnessed, or if his species is simply too foolish to know when it should have died out. I am no longer certain there is a difference. The quicksand field. Polkin sank to his chest in liquefied ground in seconds, panic spiking his vitals. Threx and Sarah scrambled for rescue lines, shouting protocol numbers. Dale calmly lay flat on the ground, distributing his weight, and slid an arm out toward Polkin. Don't fight it. Spread out, like a starfish. Grab my hand. Polkin, shaking, obeyed and floated free, safe, unharmed. Lost a boot doing this once, Dale said, hauling him to solid ground. Lesson stuck. Status flip. Something had shifted by the time they made camp that night. Threx no longer questioned Dale's instructions before following them. Sarah had stopped running, vitals checks on him out of disbelief, and started running them out of simple habit, almost fond. Polkin sat closer to him at the fire than protocol strictly required. You are not weak, Threx said finally, forearms folded, studying him in the firelight. You are simply calibrated for something we do not understand. Dale poked at the fire with a stick. I'm calibrated for a species that builds houses next to volcanoes and calls it a view. Sarah's scales shifted a warm, unfamiliar color, something between respect and disbelief. We will trust your judgment going forward. Careful, Dale said. That's how you end up with a raccoon in your ship. Cliffhanger close. The comms crackled to life just before dawn. A distress signal, garbled, coming from deep beneath the black glass plains, from a survey outpost that had gone dark 11 cycles ago and was never supposed to be there at all. Threx's forearms went still. That location, he said slowly, is classified. It should not exist. Sarah's scales flashed a color none of them had a name for. Dale set down his coffee substitute, bitter, alien, and somehow still better than the stuff from Big Earl's break room, and looked toward the horizon, where the ash had begun to swirl in a way that wasn't wind. Well, he said, guess we're going down there. Polkin made a sound like a dying kettle. Human, Threx said carefully. You understand. This location may be considerably worse than anything encountered thus far. Dale shrugged, already grabbing his gear. Story of my life.